Okay everyone, welcome to Wednesday's video. Tonight Celtic play our final match of the UEFA Champions League phase, and while we've already secured a top 24 spot, there's still points, league position and some important money as well as coefficient stuff to deal with tonight when we face Aston Villa. Obviously a case of bragging rights as well as we take on English opposition for the first time in a competitive match for the best part of a decade. Delighted to have Rich from the Villa Park podcast on today to preview tonight's game. Rich, how's it going?
Yes, very well, very well. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm much looking forward to this game. And yeah, both teams have done pretty well in this Champions League phase. So it's set up to be a very good match.
How big a game is this for Aston Villa with the top 8 spot up for grabs?
It's now become a huge game. I mean, obviously you mentioned it there about kind of first time Celtic have faced English opposition in a decade. The Battle of Britain, if you want to call it that, all that sort of stuff will be coming out of there. But also now it's for Aston Villa to finish in that top 8. It's absolutely huge because had you said this at the start of this league phase to Aston Villa fans, we'd have all absolutely snapped your hand off. We're just excited. We're just buzzing to be in the Champions League for the first time in 40 odd years. So to be in this position now is just phenomenal. And yes, we've had a couple of disappointments, disappointing performance against Bruges and Monaco, but we've had some phenomenal performances against Bayern Munich and against Bologna. So yeah, for it to come down to this last game, it is massive.
Tell us a little bit about your Champions League campaign so far, and what would the expectations have been going into it?
I think, to be honest, there would have been before the draw. I think just obviously enjoyment, taking the experience, be kind of competitive, and if we could have finished somewhere in that top 24, we would have been happy with that. When the draw came out, it was like, well, you know what? We've got Bayern Munich at home with all the memories of Villa beating Bayern Munich in the European Cup 1982, and then by RB Leipzig and one or two other teams. You thought, do you know what? We've got a good shot here. If we can pick up a couple of good results, we've got a decent shot, and that's kind of what it's been proven to be. If the results against Bruges and Monaco, with all due respect, would say, Villa should have given a better account of themselves. Not saying we should have won, but better account of ourselves. But you flip the results. We beat Bruges and Monaco, but lose to Leipzig and Bayern Munich. Everyone would have been like, "Oh, that's true to form." But because we beat those teams, it kind of like makes it just that little bit more disappointing that we didn't turn up in those games. So yeah, it's been amazing. And I guess the expectation of where we should have finished has probably changed as the groups phase has gone on. But yeah, I think to kind of miss out now would be a little bit of a disappointment. But perspective is needed. For us to have won games in this competition has been excellent.
So I was listening to another Villa podcast, and they were kind of mentioning that, would it be the worst thing getting another couple of Champions League games if you don't finish in the top 8? But I'm guessing while it's there, you want it.
Absolutely. I think the way the fixtures are set up at the minute, with we've got through in the FA Cup, we've been a little bit patchy in the Premier League in terms of our form. To then throw in another 2 high pressured games in there, yes, it's Champions League and all that kind of razzmatazz, but you don't want to have those games. And you said it yourself, the finances for finishing in that top 8, I think you get an extra £12 million or something.
Yeah.
So it'll be massive for us. So both in terms of squad and in terms of finance, I think it'll be far better for us. And I think Unai Emery would appreciate not having an extra 2 games to play.
Yeah, people will be wondering, Celtic have the slimmest of opportunities of a top 8 spot. I think we need about 11 teams to win or lose or whatever, and we need to win at Villa Park. But there is a chance. You mentioned Unai Emery. The question I've got down here, is he the best manager in English football?
Wow, that's a big question. I think you'd have to probably say Pep Guardiola, but
Yeah.
Unai Emery is certainly up there because, and if you were speaking to Kev, one of my hosts on the Villa Park podcast, he would say Unai is better. He would 100% say Unai is the best, but I'd still say Pep there. But Unai Emery, for what he's done at Aston Villa, for taking us from 17th in the Premier League and going nowhere under Steven Gerrard, which would be pleasing you, I'm sure. To then go from that point in sort of October, November in that season to take us into European qualification for the Conference League, and then for last season to continue that momentum to get us into the Champions League spots and to the Conference League semi-finals, which was, again, you look at the teams that got to that competition and what they're doing in their respective European competitions is no mean feat. And then this season to be on the verge of, with a chance of finishing in the top 8, to still be in contention for the top 4, top 6 in the Premier League, it's absolutely incredible. And I might add, with very similar players to who Steven Gerrard had in the first place.
He's laying into Steven Gerrard. We're big fans of that. You'll be going down well with those comments. John McGinn is obviously someone people will be very familiar with. I think he's a great player, and I'm sure you'll agree. Came back at the weekend, played the final 20 minutes. I'm guessing he'll be pretty keen to play in this one.
Yeah, certainly. I think he was always targeting this game to kind of make his big comeback, if you like. Yes, he came on for a bit of a cameo against West Ham. He did okay. He's one of those players, though, that needs probably 3 or 4 games to get into full John McGinn swing. I'm a little bit disappointed that he hasn't maybe played 2 or 3 games before this game. But I'm pretty sure, obviously, he's captain when he starts. I'm pretty sure he will be absolutely chomping at the bit to get started, and we probably need him in a game like this to kind of drive us forward. He's not necessarily the most vocal, but in terms of his example and in terms of what he'll bring to the side in terms of drive and in desire, he will be absolutely vital for us.
What's the centre back situation? Tyrone Mings went off at the weekend. It seemed like that was bad, first of all, but I believe he's been posting online saying it's not a serious knee injury. So you've only really got Ezri Konsa. So who'll partner him?
You tell me, mate. You tell me. It's going to be a difficult one. I mean, hopefully Mings isn't. The injury isn't as serious as first feared, but I doubt he will be fit for Wednesday. I mean, he tried to carry on and then couldn't. We've got Wolves on the weekend, another big game. I would suggest that he misses probably both of those. I can't see him back inside a week, but we'll see. So that leaves Luca Dean, who moved into that position after on Sunday. He didn't do a great job at all. Ian Maatsen came on at left back, didn't do a great job at all. However, if you start in the game in that situation, it's maybe a little bit different to kind of having to move across. Boubacar Kamara could drop back into that position, but then you're taking him out of the midfield. But again, you could bring him back and put John McGinn in that kind of defensive midfield position. And then you could go with one of the young lads, Lamar Bohard or Sil Swinkles could be an option. But again, throwing a young lad into a situation like that is pretty serious. So it's really difficult, Hamish. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you what he's going to do.
Not difficult for me, mate. I'm more than happy to
you
we can exploit there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You probably know this, but I mean, we've just lost Kyogo Furuhashi. He's joined Rennes for 10 million. We've signed Jota, but he obviously can't be registered for this game. Daizen Maeda, who's just this energetic Japanese left winger, was sent off last week against Young Boys, so he's missing as well. So we're going to have probably Hyunjun Yang, who kind of goes hot and cold, but hasn't really played at this level as our left winger. We're going to have Nicholas Kuhn on the right, and probably Adam Ida. Well, almost certainly Adam Ida through the middle. So it's going to be I think both teams, both our attack and your defence, will be a bit depleted. So it'll be interesting. What are the strengths and weaknesses of this Villa side?
Well, I mean, strengths-wise, when we get moving and we can play through the lines, we're pretty devastating. Yuri
Mm.
Tillemans has been phenomenal this season, and some of the passes that he can produce are just out of this world.
And
Morgan
Rodgers will
Rogers,
know him, of course, Brendan Rodgers.
yeah, exactly. And then in terms of the namesake, Morgan Rogers is absolutely, when he's on his game, he's unstoppable. It's just he can blow hot and cold, not only game to game, but actually during games. Sometimes some parts of the game he's absolutely flying, and other parts of the game he looks like he can't control a football. But if you guys give us space in those central areas and let them get on the half turn and get moving, then we'll cause you big problems. Luca Dean's great at delivery from the left hand side. And if we could get something out of Leon Bailey, then who has been, really, really off form this season, then he can be dangerous down that right hand side. And then obviously, what we've got up front, Ollie Watkins or John Duran are devastating. So we've got lots of different ways that we can hurt. The problem is we've just been very inconsistent throughout this season, and we've played well in sort of bursts. So if you guys can get in the lead, or you can kind of stay in the game, we will give you chances. 100% will give you chances.
Interesting. What's the perception of Celtic as a team amongst the Villa support, and how tough the game will or won't be?
I think in general, I think most Villa fans have a sort of admiration for Celtic. I think there's fairly close ties. There's quite a lot of Villa and Celtic supporters. In terms of kind of I guess the usual sort of attitude towards Scottish football, that is like, Premier League teams, top level Premier League teams should be beating Scottish Premier League teams. However, when you throw into the mix, the fact that this game hasn't been played, or you guys haven't faced an English opposition for over a decade, the whole kind of atmosphere surrounding it just adds to it, doesn't it? It's the same as any sort of massive cup tie. Anything can happen, and the atmosphere is going to be incredible. So that whole situation will make it a huge leveler. Now, whether you guys will go into the game relaxed and play your football that you can play, and then kind of be dangerous in that sense, is remains to be seen. Or will you take it the other way and think, do you know what? We've already qualified for that top 24. Take our foot off the gas a tiny little bit, and and have it in that sort of mentality. That's I guess is the call that we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree with that totally, and that's the big thing. We've achieved our big goal last week, but it could work the way, as you say, it could relax us. We can finish ahead if we beat you at Villa Park.
Yeah,
so there's,
yeah. Oh,
we're already
absolutely.
going to finish. We're already going to finish ahead of Man City.
Bragging rights will be huge, and that's always coming into it. Supporters and stuff will be hugely up for the game. It's just you only need that 1 or 2% to be either side for it to kind of really change. So, yeah, if Villa can get out of the blocks and get off to a fast start and be sort of 1 or 2 up, then you can imagine it might kind of go that way. But if, like I say, if you stay in the game, there is 100% opportunity that Villa will give you chances.
As you say, the atmosphere is going to be great, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. I'm unfortunately not going to the game. I actually live in Newcastle, so it's a fair trek for me anyway. So that's in the northeast of England. Obviously, Aston's in the West Midlands, so it's a fair trek. But yeah, got family going, and obviously Villa fans been talking about this since the draw was made, and for it to be sort of the last game of the group phase is massive. So yeah, atmosphere is going to be absolutely incredible.
Amazing. Rich, it's been so good. Thanks for coming on and chatting, and enjoy the game. Hopefully, as I always say, not too much, but enjoy yourself. Thanks for coming on, mate.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
So we had the press conferences yesterday at Villa Park, all very nicey, a bit too nicey for me. Where's the aggro here? Come on. We had Unai Emery, very complimentary of us, and Brendan Rodgers called us a prestigious club. We then had the Villa player Jacob Ramsey speaking well about us, rates us, talking about it being a technical and physical match, which I think will be right. although I guess most matches are like that. Brendan Rodgers rates Unai Emery very highly as well, says that we're facing a top team. But as I say, all very nicey. We need a bit of aggro in there. Maybe that's going to be supplied by the 2,100 Celtic fans that will officially have away-end tickets at Villa Park. I'd expect some more to be scattered around the stadium. But yeah, it is a great stadium, and pitch is good as well. So I think it's going to be a great occasion tonight. The thing shining through from the press conferences yesterday, and also what Rich was just saying, is that I think this is a really big game for Villa, and I kind of was a little bit sceptical of that going into the game. You know, how much does the top 8 actually matter to a team like Aston Villa, who are clearly a very good team, but are probably not going to win the Champions League, and are enjoying such a really good journey in the Champions League this year. So I was kind of wondering, as I said to Rich, you know, would a couple of extra games be the worst thing for them? But it does seem very much like they want to make a big statement here and finish inside the top 8. And I don't know, reading between the lines of just various things I've heard from various kind of Aston Villa podcasts and forums and stuff like that, I do think they think they're just going to turn up and beat Celtic tonight. So I hope we can prove them wrong and show what we've got. Might be difficult though, because we're missing a fair few players. So team news wise, we're without Dyson Maeda. We know that he's suspended after his red card last week. Cameron Carter-Vickers is out for this one. He should be back for Motherwell on Sunday, but will miss this game. James Forrest is missing too. Jota can't be registered for this one. Obviously, this is our first game without Kyogo. Brendan Rodgers also confirmed that Alex Valle has left us. So, yeah, we're down a fair few players. This is the team that I'm predicting at this stage. Yeah, Kasper Schmeichel in goal, Alistair Johnson at right back, Liam Scales and Austin Trusty in the middle, Greg Taylor at left back. Pretty sure that'll be the back 5. I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't. Midfield, yeah, same as last week, pretty strong there. McGregor, Hatate, Engels, I think they were great against Young Boys, so I'd like to see them play again. Nicholas Kuhn, clearly our best player so far this season on the right. Excited to see what he can do running into space. Adam Ida, big night for him up front. And I think Yang is probably most likely to play off the left. I know we have Lewis Palma there as well. Even had it suggested to me, I can't remember exactly who. Was saying, Luke McCowan potentially could be an option there. I just don't think Luke McCowan's got the pace at this level. Brendan Rodgers has spoken about it so often. He likes pace, especially in those wide areas. Yang does have pace. He just doesn't really know what to do with it a lot of the time. But, it's an opportunity for him as well. We are struggling a bit for options off the bench, especially with that front 3. I mean, Palma would be an option. Johnny Kenny would be an option. I mean, Johnny Kenny's never started a game for Celtic, and this is the Champions League, and we don't really have anyone else on the bench for those front 3 positions. So we're going to need a big shift from those front 3. Midfield, we do still have some options. So yeah, my own feeling here is that this game might just have come at the wrong time, just for a number of reasons. Obviously, Kyogo leaving, various players missing, not able to get Jota in at this stage. It might just be that this match is a bit of a difficult one for us. I think we'll be in a hell of a lot better shape when we get to the playoff round. And to be honest, those are the ones that, really, really matter. Tonight, clearly want to go and every time you play an English team, you want to prove that you're able to play at that level. And, I honestly think Celtic can go with Aston Villa. I genuinely believe we're that good. If we have our full team, I just feel like we're missing a few players tonight. Maeda is a big one. Carter-Vickers is a big one. It might be tough, but as I say, the positive of tonight is that we can surprise everyone. The expectation and the pressure is on Villa. We've already secured top 24, and let's just see how we get on. Official-wise tonight, as I prepare to speak some French, referee is Clément Turpin. The assistant referees are Nicolas Dagnos and Benjamin Pages. VAR is Jérôme Bressard, and the assistant VAR is Rob Dieperink, and he's clearly from the name not French. He's Dutch. The rest are all French. Yeah, Clement Turpin is one of the big dog referees that you'll know. He's refereed Champions League finals in the past. He did the opening game of the Euros in the summer. And all Scotland fans know how that went. I certainly know how that went, actually travelling to Germany. And that's all we need to say about that. I don't believe he's ever refereed a Celtic game. I scrolled through his matches. I don't think he's ever refereed a Celtic match. He has been involved in at least one Celtic game before, and it's a bit of an omen because he was one of the goal line officials. Remember the people who stood like at the side of the net when UEFA did this about a decade ago prior to VAR, on the night when we got one of our only two UEFA Champions League group stage away wins. Spartak Moscow, late Samaras header, etc. He was one of what they called the additional referees that night. And who was the Spartak Moscow manager that night? Unai Emery. There you go. There's a wee omen for you. Yeah. Just another wee note before we go, transfer stuff. Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that Kieran Tierney will join us in the summer at the very latest. The club are clearly trying to sign him this month. I get the impression it's a little bit out of our control. And Tierney's been coming on as a sub a bit for Arsenal in recent weeks. So I sense they might want to keep him for the rest of the season. Obviously, he'll have a pretty big contract to see out there as well. And he probably will want to make sure that he's getting, is it like over 100 grand a week he's on? That's one story, the fact that, trying to get Tierney this month. For me, the bigger story is Kieran Tierney's coming back to Celtic. That has been confirmed now by Brendan Rodgers. He's going to join us, as I say, very latest for next season. And what a massive boost that is. I mean, it's a genuine game changer for us at left back, having a player of Kieran Tierney's quality. The big question mark will be his fitness, but, maybe just a bit like Jota, maybe just a perfect match with Celtic, and maybe we'll see that again. So, yeah, buzzing with that. The other story, as I mentioned, Alex Valle has played his final game for Celtic. He's returned back to Barcelona, and he's posted a farewell message on Instagram where he says, "Dear Celtic FC and Celtic fans, thank you for giving me the opportunity to join such a big and historic club like Celtic. I've made my Champions League debut and I have won the first title of my professional career. It was short, but I tried to enjoy and give my best every day for the badge and for its amazing fans. Massive part of the club. Thanks again for everything. Hail, hail." And yeah, I think he contributed pretty well over the last 4 or 5 months. I think Celtic fans will keep a kind of close eye on his future development going forward. So thanks to Alex Valle for what he brought us, and all the best for the future. But for now, we move on to Villa Park tonight. It's going to be a busy night in the UEFA Champions League. Reminder, we've already secured a top 24 spot. But yeah, we're going to have, I think, 18 matches, all starting at 8 p.m. Scottish time tonight, so it's going to be a pretty eventful one. It's just lovely going into this game knowing that we don't need to focus on any other results for getting a top 24 spot. And let's see how highly we can finish up the league table. If we win tonight, we go ahead of Aston Villa, and we'll probably end up finishing like inside the top 12, which would be totally ridiculous. There's the slimmest of chances of a top 8 spot, as I said earlier, but that's discount that thought. It's not going to happen. But yeah, I will get a good idea tonight as well about the draw that's on Friday. We'll know the 2 teams that we could possibly face in that draw. I'll obviously talk about that tomorrow, as well as reviewing tonight's game. So enjoy the game. I'll chat to you tomorrow.